Why the hell? No wonder everybody. I'm actually trying to get my setup set up, and I actually hit the go live button. So we're about to. I'm trying to flip this. I got a hat here too. There we go. Rotate it. All right. What? No, we're not doing that. Oh, this good boy. This life. You guys are gonna watch me do my setup, so even though there's nobody here. All right, let's do that. No. I hope this is entertaining for somebody. Snapple and Cats, and there will one day. You guys are gonna watch me set up my setup. It's not. Why is this sideways? You're sideways. Man, I'm not trying to. All right, whatever. Hold on. We're gonna figure out how to officially rotate it. No, we're not gonna look at my house. Officially rotate it. Am I side? Oh, I don't want to do this way. All right, whatever. No, Nigerians. I think I'm gonna have to hold the thing. I don't. Ndewo, nwanne, ndewo. All right, so you know what? Yeah, what are we doing all this production for? Let's just talk. Ndewo, thank you, Oma. Ndewo, everybody. This is Derek Ofarunwa with the Medicine Shell, watching you struggle. Man, I'm telling you, I can't. This is like 2 lives in a row, and I wanted to have this one perfect. So I start setting everything up, and my like, if you guys see how big my hands are, I accidentally clicked the go live button, and so we're just gonna talk like this. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, anyways, right? Ndewo to everybody, ndewo. Hey, I even wanted to wear a hat, but we're not gonna do that. Y'all caught me. So, all right. So today, first and foremost, welcome back. I guess maybe. I have been gone for almost a month, or for about a month now, right? A shy of a month. Um, Over the past few days, I have not been feeling too well. Not health wise, but just something in my spirit wasn't right. And so I kept trying to just push forward while I was feeling this way and push forward while I was feeling this way. And whenever I'm having these lives or I'm making my videos or I'm having the group study in the Patreon or I'm answering questions, I always feel this light that always feels really nice. And lately I wasn't feeling it. All right. It wasn't happening and just a whole lot of things. You just get in this mood. I don't know if I was depressed about something or what. I mean, I think I was, right? Um, and so I decided to just pull back from a lot of the things I was doing and give myself time and try to do like as much as I could without everything falling apart, right? And not to say that I've had an easier month because there's been a whole bunch of other stuff going on too. But all of that stuff happens, and then all of a sudden the new moon hits. We're now in Onwa Agon, which I'll talk about today, anyways. We are in the new moon, and once the new moon starts like hit, all of a sudden I came back alive, right? It just felt like something changed. I was starting to feel better like maybe 2, 3 days beforehand, and then like day of, which I think is today or yesterday. Well, yeah, let me just say, yesterday I felt alive. And I told myself I'm going to go live even if I have like one leg and one arm today. And so luckily I get to go live with full limbs and feeling great. So that light I usually feel, I'm feeling it right now. And I'm very happy about that because I was actually scared. I was like, is this gone? Like, am I done? I was sincerely like, I was worried. And I don't think that's the case. I'm halfway through with my Arobinagon video, and which is the next video, by the way, Arobinagon. In the time that I was feeling I was able to still do my research because that's the bare minimum without things falling apart. And I found out a lot of very fascinating things that I'm super happy to share. But that being said, we are back. That is the longest intro I've ever done without breaking Audrey. So we are 100% back. I'm feeling good. Hopefully, I don't slip back into whatever just happened. And I'm trying to kind of get to the roots of what it is. I cut one of the things, without getting too personal, I cut one of the things out of my life that I think I needed to. And I think that played a big role as well in helping me feel better. So that being said, I am here. Today's topic is the topic that I was supposed to give you guys last time we went live, and that is the Ilu. A traveler, a traveler appears homeless, right? A traveler appears homeless. This is an Igbo proverb, and it's what we're going to discuss today. But I'm going to officially begin the discussion once we have 15 people in here, right? Once we get 15 people, I'll go ahead and begin the discussion. And there, whoa. Snapple Cat says, happy you're back. Hey, very happy to see you too. And even when I tried to do my other live, I saw you were there. So I really appreciate that. It meant more than you'd imagine. So thank you for being consistent and sticking with it. Thank all of you guys, by the way. I have the most loyal community in let's call it YouTube history. Like I'll go toe to toe with anybody with you guys. It's unbelievable. Somebody says Jad. I don't know what that means, but they will one and they will regardless. Today we're going to talk about the Ilu. A traveler appears homeless. A traveler appears homeless is today's Ilu. An Ilu is a proverb, an Igbo proverb. Or that's one way to translate it, anyways. Thank you for sharing all that with us. Happy to hear you feeling light again. Okay, thank you very much, Nigerians. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy that you guys, because I was like, oh, is this it? Is it over? When I feel better, is am I gonna come back to an empty room? That kind of thing. And I came back, and you guys are here chilling. So I appreciate that. Definitely, I see the notification, and I'm free. I click okay, and they will wonder. Cool. Let me get my RG. Give me one second. Once we get 15 people in here, I'm going to begin. Now we have gone from 11 to 8 because I'm talking a little too much about personal stuff, maybe. I don't know. But either way, I'm waiting till we get to 15, then we will officially begin. Today's topic is a traveler appears homeless, right? I'm for those who are, if anybody who is in here brand new and doesn't know what this is about, my name is Derek Ofader. I'm the host of The Medicine Show. I teach about Igbo spirituality here on YouTube. So if you're interested in the topic, hit subscribe. Of course, the number one way to support is by joining our Patreon community. It is patreon.com/The Medicine Show. I would type the link, but I have to hold this with one hand because things happen. So it is patreon.com/The Medicine Show. So I give you access to my full research library, and that is everything, not everything digital that I read and I use to figure out the things that I've figured out. It goes into in depth on a lot of topics. There's books in there. There's articles. There's studies. All types of different things that would give you a good idea of what our ancestors or how our ancestors saw the world and how our ancestors navigated the world. Um, I also have a guide in there I wrote myself. It's how to perform Iwaji, or how to perform Igafal, sorry. And so, to put it simple, if you want to learn how to pray in the ancestral method, I have a guide there. It's a very simple little thing. It just goes step one, step two, step three, step four, step five. And in it, I have English and Igbo. So if you want to eventually start incorporating your ancestral language into your spiritual practice, I have all the different things you can say and add and that kind of thing. It's all in there. It's a guide I made myself. If you're a patron and you are interested in taking a look at it and you haven't seen it yet, message me. I'll send you the link. It's in the library in the recommended folder. So there's that. And then, of course, the link to the Odinani Igbo calendar. So our ancestors, and this is across Africa, well, yeah, across Africa, have a 13 moon calendar. So we follow the moons, 13 moon calendar. And then in Igbo land and surrounding areas, we have a 4-day calendar, right? Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo. Each of those 4 days have a significance. They are the four elements that create the world. They are the four pathways that we as individuals use to enter the world. So whichever day you were born is the pathway you entered the world. And is a pathway you left the world, and there is a reason you came into the world and left the world on that specific day, right? And when you reincarnate, it is the door that you will use to come into the world again. That is your Iwa, your stream into the universe, or your universal stream, like a river you use to come into the world, right? So all of that is available for patrons at all levels. And then of course exclusives, and we have a group study in there. So it's just like this. I'm teaching. Well, it's more in depth than this actually. Let me not say it's just like this. I'm teaching, but it's not just me talking. So we have everybody gets a chance to talk and share their different things. And it's even when I was like that, I still made sure that happened because that was one of my favorite things to do in the month. We have the most intelligent community you can imagine and the most spiritually gifted collective you can imagine in that Patreon community. And it's not just me talking. Get in there. Get in there and listen to some of these people's stories like when we're having our group study and their perspectives and the things they share. It'll blow your mind. Funny enough, my next video is on Aro Binago. And Aro Binago, I'm gonna just kind of paraphrase, it relates to how information is transferred. There's a lot more to it, right? But there's a part of Aro Binago, the Abara, that relates to how information is transferred. And it was actually one of my patrons that gave me this story. It was a Japanese study that I'm going to be sharing the story of it in the next video. So if you're interested in that, it's basically Western scientists coming in contact with Aro Binago and then not knowing what they saw and then going into a big debate whether what they saw was real or this and that kind of thing, debunking it, trying to rebunk it, all that stuff. And so that's that. By the way, when we get to 15, I'm going to officially begin the topic. Right now, I'm just talking. But the topic is a traveler always appears homeless, or a traveler appears homeless is the topic, right? And so somebody goes, I have a strange question. When does a day start for Igbo people? We can't answer any questions until we hit 15 people. How about that? So if you are in here and you think we are sharing something of value that other people would appreciate, send the link out on your Twitter, post the link on your Facebook, post the link on your TikTok, post the link on your what's the other one that the young kids use these days? Your Instagram, all of them. Post the link out there. Let's get people in here. We're at 14. If we can get one more person, right? One more person, we'll begin. Okay? Then, aha, we've hit 15. We've hit 15. He said we have hit 15. Now I'm going to be breaking Aji, right? That's how we begin everything in Igbo culture. Ha 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 is in the house. Hello everybody. Ndewo one day. Ndewo. Please, how can I get a link to the articles? If you're on the Patreon, message me and I'll send you the link, but you should have been linked when you first came into the Patreon. So I'll send you the link so you can just get in there. Just message me, hey, I want to get to the library. I'll send you the link, okay? So we hit 15, two people dropped. It's all good. Now, the part that's driving me crazy is that we are at 13 and only three people have hit like, right? Somehow I feel like I can predict the three people that have hit like. I'm gonna keep the possible names to myself, but the rest of you guys, you gotta hit the like button. We gotta hit the like button. So we are at three right now. Yes, Gentle Flux, no problem. We are at three right now. Gentle Flux, I hope you've hit that like button. This one that you're asking me for links. Okay, we at six and 13, 15 and 7. 15 and 7. Who is holding on to the like button and what did I do to you in a past life? 8 and 15. I'm seeing 8. Who is holding on to that like button? I know. Hey, Go for one them. I know you hit that like button. Trust me. I know. Darius hit, of course. I know. Darius has. Me and Darius go way back. I know. Hey, Darius, how you doing? Get in one day. I know you hit that like button. We are at 14. I'm gonna go ahead and begin breaking the RG. And while I'm breaking the RG, the rest of you guys who are just looking at me not hitting that like button, hit that like button. The rest of you who have not hit that like button can go ahead and hit it while I'm breaking the RG. Okay? Let me, my right hand, go ahead and begin. Did you see my message above? I will check the messages in a little bit, Kofo. I'll check the messages in a little bit. So let me go ahead and begin everything, and then I'll move into the topic and I'll answer the questions, okay? All right. Ekekeruwa, okike bi n'eluigwe, ọjị abịala. Ndị otu m, ọjị abịala. Ụmụ Ajana na ụmụ kpakpando eluigwe, ọjị abịala. Ụmụ ndị mbụ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ, ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ, ọwa ọjị ka m ji na-ekele ụnụ, ọwa obiọma ka m ji na-ekele ụnụ, ọwa aka ọcha ka m ji ekele ụnụ. Mana otu ihe ụnụ na-afụ bụ mmadụ na-aga ije Chineke kere ka ọ gaa n'ụwa, na ọwụ ọfọ na ogwu ka m ji aga ya, ọwụ ike bi n'ime obi m ka m ji aga ya, ọwụ ike unu na-enye m ka m ji aga ya, ọwụ ike etiri n'ọjị ka m ji aga ya. Mana a sị na onye ọbụla bụtara ọjị bụtara ndụ. Ọjị ndị iche anyị, ọjị ndị ibe anyị, ọjị ụmụ anyị, ọjị na-aga anwụ anwụ. Eji m obiọma na-ekele gị, eji m obiọma na-ekele ụnụ. Mana okwu nke bụ okwu ndị iche na ndị ọkpụ kere anyị ka anyị kpụ. Ọ bụ okwu uche, okwu nchekwube, okwu nganga ka anyị ga-ekwu taa. Maka na a sị na mgbe mmadụ na-aga, ọ ga-adị ka o nwere ụlọ nke onwe ya. Otu a ka ọ ga-adị na Eke, na Orie, na Afọ, na Nkwọ. Ise. All right, let's go ahead and start. I wish I didn't have to hold this thing. My stand is in another room, so y'all caught me without it. And there, whoa, Danielle, and there, whoa, very nice to see you. Okay, so Kofo had said that I need to check her message above. I'm going to turn the chat on so I can see it. Kofo gave me a thumbs up. All right, Snapple and Cat says, I have maybe a strange question. When does the day start for Igbo people? Really good question. Like in Western society, the day starts at midnight, but Jewish people, it starts at sunset. So there's actually an ilu that points to this. And Igbo say that when a man wakes up is his morning, right? When a man wakes up is his morning. So with most things pertaining to Igbo culture, there's no answer. We go out of our way to make sure there's not one answer, and we go out of our way to make sure the answer is never simple, right? But the day begins for everybody in a community when the market opens. The market opens when the sun rises. So it's the same thing as the Jewish community, when the sun rises rather than midnight. It's when the sun rises. Yeah, for most communities, that's the case. But then they say for the individual that when you wake up is your morning. Now, that can be taken very literally, right? And it can also be taken further. It's a metaphor for life itself, right? When you begin, that is when you begin. Okay, so my morning is the afternoon. Hey man, we've all been there. But yeah, for the community, it's when the market opens. The market opens when the sun begins to rise, right? That's sunrise. Have a strange question. When does okay, cool. Can I get the link? I already read that one. Wow, I'm new and very interested. Gentle Flux, I hope you're on the Patreon. If you're new, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, and you're very welcome for being a part of the community. Had a cultural fest at my school with my students. Use some of your content to educate them about. Oh wow, that's cool. I'm African American. Thank Okofo. I love that. That's really powerful, and it means a lot. I will sleep well hearing that. So I saw your comment then. All right, let us begin. Okay, so today's discussion, what we're going to talk about is the ilu that says, it slips my mind. The ilu that says, a traveler appears homeless, right? Traveler appears homeless. It's a very interesting ilu. I have this book of Proverbs that I look through from time to time. Usually when I'm making a video, I'll look for Proverbs or ilu that relates to what I'm saying. And this one I couldn't fit into any particular video, but it's always stood out to me. And it says that a traveler appears homeless, right? Or the literal translation is when a person is traveling, it appears like they have no home. right? That kind of thing. I kind of wanted to ask for you guys' interpretation before I give my own. The thing is about Elu is that there's no right answer. The wrong answer is not having an interpretation. So if somebody gives you an Elu and they say, what does that mean? You say, I don't know. That's the wrong answer, right? The answer is, what does it say to you? Because it's going to say something to you that's slightly different from what it says to me and the next person and the other person next to that person. And all of those answers gathered is going to show you a full 360 degree of the wisdom that is encapsulated in that saying. And the saying is a traveler appears homeless, right? A person on a journey appears as if they have no home. Now, you have to remember this Elu is being told in a world before cars and things that can kind of give symbols of status that you can travel with, right? So everybody's on foot. Some people are moving with these kind of hammocks where like rickshaws where you carry somebody. Most of them are moving on boats, but it's like canoes. Pretty much everybody looks like, equals as they're or more equals, right? Now it's not like this person has a Maserati, this person has a hoopty, and I know that person definitely has a home type of thing. So the Elu coming from that world says that a person appears homeless or a traveler appears homeless. And I wanted to get some of you guys' interpretations before I give my own. Ikenga Nation, they will one day. Don't rush to judgment because Ikenga Nation says, don't rush to judgment because when somebody is in the middle of a process, you don't know what the end result will look like. Wonderful. Wonderful. Darius says it's so true and speaks for itself. I'll do my one day. Can we hear it in Igbo? I'll try. Um, mgbe mmadụ na-aga n'ije, ọ ga-adị ka o nweghị ụlọ. Mgbe mmadụ na-aga n'ije, ọ ga-adị ka o nweghị ụlọ. Mgbe mmadụ na-aga ije, ọ ga-adị ka o nweghị ụlọ. That is how you would say something like that in Igbo, or how you would say in Igbo. Why do people typically travel? Why did people typically travel back then? And how they typically end up homeless. I don't know anything about homelessness in the Igbo world before colonialism. Everywhere I've looked has said it didn't exist, right? And knowing how society worked at that time, it would be very difficult to imagine it not existing. Though there are afflictions, spiritual afflictions, that make an individual not want to have a home or be like not domestic, I guess, right? So there are certain spiritual afflictions where no matter what, if I give you a home, you're gonna go outside and stand on the street and just be there, right? Or most specifically, these ones are like what happens typically is the person will go into the forest or the person will go on the at the market and just stay at the market, right? And there's different ones. There's different ones that make you do that thing. But if you look at the modern world, I think that's what's going on with a lot of the homelessness that we deal with in every city in the world, every place in the world, so on and so forth, right? Our ancestors identified certain spiritual afflictions that make living in a home not an option for you as by choice, right? But that being said, the reason I said it's hard to imagine homelessness in that time was because there was a thing known as the age grade system, the Obo system, right? So Igbo society had the Obo system, meaning that anybody born within a set period of time, usually kind of 4 years or so, but it's not like counted. It's just this is one set, this is another set. So it's not like every 4 years or anything like that. It's just for some reason they just know when one wave of kids comes, that's one oboe, another wave is another oboe. But everybody has an oboe. And when it's time for you to get married, when you reach the age of getting married, you and your collective are all now of the age to get married, right? And so what ends up happening is that you guys will build each other homes. Okay? You guys are going to build each other homes. It doesn't matter how much money you personally have. It doesn't matter your standing in society. It doesn't matter who you are and so forth. If you don't have a home, your age grade doesn't have a home. So collectively, you guys will build each other's homes, right? And collectively, the community builds each other homes. So it's not going to be a matter of, well, this one doesn't know how to build and that kind of thing. Everybody has had, or just about every man has had experience in building this thing. So putting up the roof, putting up the thing, that kind of thing. They're going to build you a simple home that you can live in. Now, if you are an a garanya, a rich person, so on and so forth, you can of course commission to have your own home built. That's a little more lavish and so forth. But as far as a simple home, your community is going to build the home for you. And I cannot identify a single item that our ancestors used to build homes that would cost money. So we are building with mud, right? Or clay, really, red soil. We're building with clay. The entire earth is clay in that particular part of the world. So you're using clay, you're using bamboo, you're using things that are just available, period. And you're building the homes, your community will help you, or your friends will help you decorate it and so forth. Um, there's also a classification of individual known as Obanye. Now, Obanye, and I'm pronouncing it funny because I have an accent, but Obanye, people who are Obanye, it gets translated today as poor, right? But that's not the meaning of the word. Obanye means a person whose barn is given to them, right? A person whose barn is given to them. So for some people, right, either you haven't built your own, you've reached adulthood and you haven't built your own home, and for some reason your age grade didn't build it for you, or you have a profession that doesn't allow you to participate in the market. So a lot of DBAs, right? A lot of DBAs have like a job, like a thing they do in the community, and then they also do DBA work. But the DBA work is not their income. That's not where they make their money. And some people are just DBAs. Some people are activated, maybe say a particular shrine, and they have to be the person who watches that shrine, so they can't really participate in market activities. Well, these particular people, the community gets together to provide for them, right? So we know that this person, a lot of is, right? The tradition, not like the British ones, but a lot of like spiritual leaders and that kind of thing, usually in the spiritual space. If you are this type of person in Obanye, or maybe we brought you from another community to come over in our community because you have a particular skill. Maybe you know how to do surgery. Maybe you're a smith. Maybe you know all these different things, but man, you're not that rich. So, of course, community builds the home for you, and then people just whenever they plant something, like whenever they get harvest, they bring you food, right? That kind of thing. So these particular people, the community provides for them. So, and then of course, the fact that it is a family-based society, right? So, the word for family in Igbo land is ezinulo, ezinulo, which literally just means outside the home and inside the home. Meaning that if I'm inside my home, I'm with my family. And if I go outside, everybody surrounding me is also my family, not just by name, like literally, right? So in my community, I live in a place where one of my ancestors, my hold on, great great my great great my great great grandfather founded or started this community, and so everybody who lives in that particular patch of land is my direct relative, like my direct blood relative, right? And so if I for some reason don't have a home, I can either live in one of their homes or in the home of a deceased ancestor, right? So my great grandfather built a house, like a two-story house, which was a big deal in his time, right? I talked a little bit about him in my High Life Explained video. So if you go to my video, High Life Explained, I tell the story of my great grandfather. He was like a merchant, and he died mysteriously and things like that. But I tell his story in the High Life Explained video, right? Which is a little bit of like a family history video. And so if I don't have a home, his home is still available. I can go live there anytime. It's also my home. I can live there. I have an uncle and an aunt that live there, right? Because they don't have much money, right? So they live in his old home, right? And my family home, we got bedrooms and things like that. If somebody in my family doesn't have a home, they're gonna live there, right? So the reason I say anytime I look into anything pertaining to Igbo culture and pre-colonial like homelessness, I don't see too much. And most people say that it didn't exist. I can see how it'd be very, very, very hard to be homeless. It'd be unbelievably hard to be homeless in that society, unless, of course, you have a spiritual affliction or mental affliction that just makes you not want to live in houses, which our ancestors identified a couple of them, right? That kind of thing. So That was that. I started a transport business and see it daily. Okay, there's something I'm missing. Okay, yes, Darius Bly. Yes, I saw. Okay, dope, dope. Hey, congratulations on your business. One day. Let me give you all G. Igeto, igade, nke ọbụla itiri aka, ọ ga-eto n'ụwa. Ọ ga-adị otu a n'eke, n'orie, n'afọ, na nkwọ. He said, congratulations on the transport business. That's powerful. Sounds like family is more than blood. It can be. Yeah, it can be. But yeah, no, family is everything in what I'm saying. Yeah. When you're on your journey, social status means nothing. Wow, I like that interpretation. It's like those peaks you see of the Amish doing that together. Exactly. This society needs homelessness. Uh-oh. About to get controversial. All right. This society needs homelessness. It has to be a constant threat, for it to work. So it's hard to imagine it not being a problem. Yeah. So in Igbo culture, like pre-colonial Igbo culture, home ownership is very demonetized. That's what I'm trying to say. The idea of home ownership is demonetized, right? Like if you grew up in the 90s, the idea of drinking water used to be demonetized. Now it's very, very monetized. But it's a demonetized thing. So with it being demonetized, there'd be very little reason for a person to not have a home. Um, not gonna, and it's not like, oh, I can't build something that passes the building codes and all that stuff. This is this is the old world. And so if you have something that's demonetized, it's very hard, and it's like you need shelter to survive. It's very hard to imagine people not having shelter, especially if like the next 200 people surrounding you are your family members. You have an age grade that's going to build a house for you if you don't want to build one for yourself. And there's already a system for, let's say your age grade can't stand you for some reason, and your family can't stand you. Well, there's already a system that if you have a useful skill, I guess you can tap into, and people will help provide for you. So again, it's super hard to imagine that kind of thing. Yeah, that makes sense. Public housing, kind of similar to public housing. Public housing is the government owns your shit, and that's way different from the family building you a home. Because once your age grade builds your home, it's your home. You know, it it doesn't fall, it passes the code. That's hilarious. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If it don't fall, it passes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. 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 All right. Let me go ahead and begin. I hope I answered whatever question led to that very long ramble. So let me go ahead and begin the discussion because I like a lot of you guys' interpretations. So the ilu is that the traveler appears homeless, right? And there is always this pressure. There's always this pressure to um, appear like you're there, right? To appear like you've arrived, to appear like you're there, to actualize the you that you've imagined in your head as being presentable into the real world. And a lot of this time, or most of the time, I can't imagine when it's not, this can be a burden, right? This particular burden can actually stop you from starting. Because as the Ilu says, the traveler appears homeless. Once you begin the journey, the appearance of social status, the appearance of having, the appearance of being complete, the appearance of being there, how the world is going to perceive you in the present, right, can't matter, right? Darius said earlier that he had started a traveling business. He had started a transportation business, and he sees it every day, right? Even with what I'm doing, I see it a lot, right? I'm not a rich guy, right? That kind of thing. I see it a lot. And I've tried things in the past and so on and so forth. I see it often, right? And I have a good friend. He's this very brilliant guy that I semi grew up with. We grew up together, but we didn't talk to each other until adulthood. And he says that his advice to women that are trying to find uh, try to find a spouse or whatever, just find a reasonable man, a good man, is to look for a guy who hasn't gotten a haircut, who hasn't shaved, and wears old clothes, right? because that guy's trying to do something, right? Once you start saying, okay, I'm gonna go talk to these girls, right? The focus becomes, okay, let me just put on the nice shit and do that kind of thing, right? And then some people are able to look good and get things done at the same time, right? It's a rare and exceptional skill. Not everybody has it. Not everybody should pursue it if it doesn't come natural to them. But in the journey of getting there, you're not going to look like you're there, right? A traveler appears homeless, right? But the traveler's appearance is not what's important, it is their destination. And in order for a traveler to know where they're going, a traveler must know where they came from. And a traveler must know why they got up and went. And that has to be the North Star. That has to be the road. That has to be the guide. It's go ahead and allow yourself to look homeless in the process of traveling from start place to destination because you know the truth. And that's what matters. Yeah. And that's that particular Ilu. I like the Ilu a lot. It's something that I'm not a particularly flashy person. So it came natural for me to understand, like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I get that, kind of justified a lot of my behaviors. It justified a lot of my own natural behaviors, but I think it's a nice thing to live by or a nice thing to understand, right? But again, that's my interpretation. One of the particular things that is so powerful about an ilu is that, again, each person's chi is going to tell them it means something different from the next person, right? Each person's chi, I'm trying to, I pulled a muscle in my leg, so I'm trying to cross it over and it hurts. But each person's chi is going to tell them that the ilu says something different. So the ilu is a traveler appears homeless. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. But your interpretation might be different from mine, and that's okay, right? It's always interesting to hear a different interpretation. I look forward to it, actually. All right. Can you say the actual proverb in Igbo language? I don't seem to recognize it, please. Cool, Andrew. Okay, so how would I say it in Igbo? I already said it earlier. Um, ah, tu- 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 Onye na-aga n'ije ga-adị ka onwenye ụlọ, right? Onye na-aga n'ije ga-adị ka onwenye ụlọ, right? Onye na-aga n'ije ga-adị ka onwenye ụlọ. So that is how you would say that particular proverb in Igbo. In AA culture, okay, cool. In AA culture, we call this wayfaring stranger. Kofo, can you explain wayfaring stranger? I've never heard the phrase before. Yeah. Could you talk about age grades in Igbo culture? Cool. Yes, I can definitely talk about that. Give me a minute. Yeah, yeah, okay. Where we go? Damn, that's deep. Always timely as always. As I prepare to get my destiny reading, I need to truly understand, and I'm taking this as dope. Isabel, always nice talking to you. Thank you, Monday. I appreciate that. Yeah. So somebody asked me to talk a little bit more about the age grade system, for sure. So the age grade system, or the Obo, it comes from the idea that every individual is born with a chi. If you want to say a personal god or their own god, that's fine. If you want to say like whatever you want to call it, so long as it points to that fundamental truth about it, it is their creator. The chi is the thing that creates you, that guides you, right? So whatever it is that created you is your chi, and that creator is what's going to guide you into. Uh, it's what's going to kill your ass, right? There's an ilu that says, "What a person worships is what kills them." Right? What a person worships is what kills them. So your chi is the thing that brought you in, is going to take you out, and it's guiding you all the way through. And yeah, so as we believe an individual has a chi, our ancestors also believe that a collective have a chi. So this particular group, us, all 27 of us now, even though only 18 of us hit like, right? All 27 of us, including those that haven't hit the like button, we all have a chi. This gathering right now has a chi that created it, right? And this goes for collectives, like age grade collectives. So an age grade is a group of people that are born in roughly the same time. Those of us, most people here are American. So like compare it to like maybe your high school graduating class or something like that, right? You guys kind of move through life together because you were born at roughly the same time is the idea. But it's not a passive thing in the Igbo culture. Your age grade is a an organization or like a bond you guys have for life, right? You guys have this bond for life. So at every um and communities organize theirs differently, but in different intervals in your life, you guys are going to go through certain initiations together. You guys are going to go through certain like milestones and things like that together. You guys are also going to be committed to each other's mutual success because your age grade is weighed against the other age grades. So if the age grade before you, all of them became super successful and they lived these great lives, and the next one was bumming it. You guys kind of look crazy. It's like your team. You're gonna want your team to succeed. And again, you guys have a collective chi. You understand? You guys serve a collective chi together, and so you guys are tied to each other in a more profound way than just being kind of the same age. So some of those initiations are, for example, there is I'm trying to remember the name of it, but there's this particular ceremony that girls go through when they have their first period. And what ends up happening is, in our culture, when girls have their period, they sit in seclusion. They sit away from the community. They're away from people, right? But in that place that they sit, it's a bunch of girls hanging out. So they're in this like women's world, young women's world, let me call it, right? Where it's just them, they hang out. The other girls in the age grade will be bringing her food, feeding her, taking care of her, that kind of thing, coming and keeping her updated on what's going on, and that type of thing. And after that particular ceremony, they will collectively give her a bath, the girls in her age grade, and then they will do a ceremony where she will walk through the market in like full makeup uli. Uli is like an ancient or an ancestral tattoo method and a written language, and they just draw it all over you. I had a video called Akaraka Explained, AKA Raka. I don't know. Aka, AKA Raka explained. So if you want to know more about Uli, I go into talking about that because it relates to Akaraka, these lines on your poem, right? And yeah, so you're dressed to the nines, they got you looking good, and you're gonna walk through the market, and the other women are going to, oh wow, look, a new beauty has emerged, a new woman has emerged. They're gonna praise you and praise you and praise you. Oh, come to my shop, come bless me, come bless me, come bless me. And then you're gonna walk through, you're gonna do a dance and they're gonna be like strutting, right? Strutting, and you come bless me. And other women, they'll give you things. They can give you money. They can give you food. They can give you rapa. They're celebrating you that you've emerged as a woman, right? But while you're doing it, the other girls in your age grade that have also seen their period will follow you. Right before you go, your mother is going to go through the market handing people eggs. I think in my community, giving people eggs, and like if my daughter has seen her period, she'll be coming. I mean, it sounds crazy in English. My daughter has seen her period. She'll be coming through the market soon. Take an egg, take an egg, take an egg, right? And then she will walk there and celebrate. So things like that. For like I'm trying to think of one for young men. I had a good conversation with a man from Abiriba, and he told me of this particular one that they do for young men. And what a young man does is once he reaches a certain age, he has to kill a bird with a slingshot, right? And so once he kills a bird with the slingshot, he goes and gets the bird and he takes it to any elder he can see. And he goes, Elder, look what I've caught. And the elder starts praising him. You're going to be a warrior. You're going to be a rich man. You're going to be somebody in this community. Look at what you did. You entered that forest by yourself and you caught that bird. This and this, and he was praising this guy, praising that kind of thing, right? And then afterwards, him and this age grade will celebrate and so forth. So you guys go through these different milestones in life together, right? Collectively, you're going through them together, that kind of thing. And then after, like for example, so then you also have like community obligations. So there's one age grade that's responsible for cleaning the roads in a community, right? And then once you age out of that, maybe your next age grade is you're protecting the community. Now you're the warriors. You're the ones that are going to protect the community and make sure that nothing crazy is coming in or you're not going to get invaded and things like that. You're the first line of defense at a particular age grade. And then, you become like, age, pass. You become an elder. You guys are elders together. Now you guys are the people running the government, and you're the people governing the society, and you're the judges and all these different things, right? And then there's also, and this is like this has always been there, but like I see this with this is something that hasn't gone away in the modern day. In some communities a little bit, but it's easy to revive. But a lot of age grades want to make an impact on the community. So what you'll see in the modern day is that you'll go to different communities. You'll see like a hospital, and it'll say this hospital was built by the this and that age grade. Age grades always have a name, so we can be uh, the mighty Iroko, right? That kind of thing. And that's our name as an age grade. And this was built by the mighty Iroko age grade on this date, yada yada yada. I see hospitals, schools, clinics, things like that. So like they collectively like raise money and build the different things that they need to build. Because if you know how Nigeria works, they're not building shit in the East. The government's not going to build anything in the East about except a military barracks, right? And so a lot of the things are built by age grades and individuals and that kind of thing. So that's kind of how the age grade system works. It is something that is falling out of favor because church and people just being ignorant of it. And so it's something I'm working on reviving. I actually have this idea, and this is something I've been working on lately. I usually don't want to talk about my ideas until I start, but I've kind of started putting things in motion. But I want to do something that incorporates and kind of makes that system more official for young people at home. Because it's if you're if you're in a country that's not particularly wealthy, it is a wonderful thing to have, right? A mutual support system. Odemma. Yeah, so Nyenjem. I got Dika Onwero. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm married to a beautiful Igbo woman, and I love learning about her culture. Odemma. She says a lot of proverbs, so I'm a little conversant with your proverbs. Odemma. Wonderful. Dope. That's powerful. That is powerful. Where are we at? Essentially, Igbo proverb sounds like Miyoto Musashi's life. He was a wanderer that seldom bathed, but a skilled warrior. Oh yeah. The Five Rings. So I don't know if I've read it or I plan on reading it, but yeah, no, I've read about him. Really interesting guy. Pronounced more like Obo. Obo. Okay, Obo. Thank you for that, Olisa. I just bought a house 6 months ago. Man, Darius is on fire. Darius, que do one let's celebrate you. I'll do my hey. There's an elu that says when you greet a king when it's their turns because you wait, greet a king and it'll be your turn next, right? So I'm greeting you as you're doing these kingly things. So Darius says, I bought a house 6 months ago, but before that, when I was traveling, I definitely appeared homeless. Uli is henna. Uli is similar to henna, not necessarily the same thing. Jerry says that video is amazing. Thank you very much. The Akaraka video. Yeah, so go check it out if you haven't already. Igbo wisdom is so suitable to life of growth. Yes. If you don't feel a little more motivated by the time you're done studying all the things I'm studying, then you didn't hear me, right? But yeah, culture is very much about growth and, achieving your destiny and achieving what you as an individual came into the world to achieve. That's the cornerstone on an individual level. Since life is a journey, a human being is not what it appears to be. Damn. Gold, blue tears. I like that interpretation. Thank you for this video. It's beautiful to hear type of connection with the community. Ondimma, thank you. I just learned that my first name is a Kenyan name. Kenyan age name. Oh, okay. Thanks to Reddit. Ondimma, cool. I won't ask you your name, but I like that. Good for Darius. Big ups. Cool, cool. Yeah, we celebrate each other here. Adumma. Even though we got 26 people in here and only 22 have hit the thumbs up button, I'm going to assume you're celebrating this community in a different way, right? But the easiest way to celebrate is by hitting that thumbs up button, right? The second easiest way is to subscribe, but I think most of you should be subscribed by now. So I'm going to answer questions until the questions run out, then I'm going to hop, but I'm very glad we got to do this. I tried to do it I think last week or 2 weeks ago, and it just wasn't working. I wasn't in the right headspace for one. and I wasn't even in the right physical space, right? I was kind of in the middle of nowhere with it in my childhood home where I grew up, that kind of thing. So let's see where we're at as far as everything. But that is the ilu. The ilu is that a traveler appears homeless, right? A traveler appears homeless. When you are in the middle of the journey, you are not going to look like you are at your destination. And it is a skill and a work of vital importance to go ahead and accept that, right? It is vitally important to accept that you will not look like you are at your destination or that you came from a destination worth coming from in the middle of the journey. You're going to be a person outside in the wilderness, and it's okay. That's fine, you know. Oh, you said that the word obanye, I think earlier, related to the word obanje. No. Obanye is no G, and then nye is give. Obanje is like it enters and goes. It enters and goes. Oh, okay, I see where the confusion comes from. So I'm not the best with tones, right? Despite having an Igbo language school, it's hard for me to be a student of my own school. But we have great teachers, and I always ask them to help me when I can. So Oba and Oba is those are the two words we're dealing with. They are related to each other, right? A barn is a thing that things accumulate into, right? Is a vessel that you add that things enter. A barn is as useful as things are able to enter it, right? A locked barn is useless. So the word for barn literally means things, something that things enter. But then you pronounce it slightly different to say it enters. They're not two different words. Oba and Oba are not two different words, but there's an inflection added on one. I'm trying to figure out which one it is, and it allows you to know which context is being used in. So obanje is literally it enters and leaves. Oba is barn, something that is made to be entered, that you put things inside, right? That kind of thing. And then je is go. Je is go. Obanje enters and goes. Obanye is nye is give. Give, right? Someone whose barn is given to them, right? In the modern day, the word gets used to say a poor person. That's what it in modern, and I don't doubt that was the case in the past, right? In the modern day, the word gets used to say a poor person. I don't doubt it was the case in the past, as we're talking about the age grade system, as we're talking about that particular Urbania system. But it goes beyond a poor person. Sometimes it's a person with a vital skill that's not profitable. So if a person is in the community and they have a vital skill, but that skill is not profitable, you're still going to make, even if it is profitable, you're going to give them the concessions necessary to come and do what they do, right? So one of the most famous communities in Igbo land is the community of Arochukwu, right? And it is one of the headquarters of a group of Igbo people known as Aro people. And Aro people had when they traveled, people didn't bother them. People didn't fight them. They themselves don't fight either. They're pacifist in a way. They hire people to fight, right? So people don't fight them. They don't fight people, and then they end up being they end up being like the connective tissue between a lot of different communities. So communities would often give them land. Hey, I want you guys to come in here and live there because they can bring in foreign products, right? Products from the outside world because they trade with Europeans and stuff like that. A lot of nefarious trading, but nonetheless, they trade with Europeans. So you give them land, and then all of a sudden now you have access to those things, right? So that is a case of somebody whose barn is given to them. You give them what they need to settle because they have a valuable skill or a valuable capacity that your community sees valuable or needs. When my community was being put together, um, one of my ancestors was the founder of the community. And our land, there's a land for us, right? And then he allocated different portions of land to different people to come and live. So there's a place called Umudiocha. Umudiocha, which which means children of the white man, but it doesn't mean a literal white man. It means a light skinned man, right? So, but in Igbo, that's Ocha is just it is a whole different thing. It's not a racial thing. So Umudiocha, he gives that the Umudiocha people land because they're good at business. So he needs people who are good at business there. Here's some land. Then he cuts out some other land for another group because they're good at medicine, Umo Darago, right? Umo Darago. Umo Darago is like Umo, children. Dara is like a master or like a master of something or an expert in something. And then Agon, we know who Agon is, the Abara that's associated with Dibia work and medicine and things like that. He cuts out another part of land. Umo Agon. This is for Dibias. If you're a Dibia, you get to live here. So once you allocate all these pieces of land to these people with these valuable skills, now you have a healthy community that has all the things it needs. So Obanye is a poor person, but it's also something that is done to bring in people who have certain skills. In Igbo culture, certain communities are particularly skilled in specific things, and they guard the secret within the community. So if you're not from that community, we can't teach you this thing because this is our trademark. This is our community trademark. But if you want me to do it for you, cut me out a little piece of land. I'll come over in the summer and I'll do this work for you. So that is that. Let me open the chat again. I want to see. First name is Machari. Okay, Machari. Interesting. Machari. Rika is it called? Okay, Rika is what they call age groups. Children born during the droughts can have the name Machari. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Machari. Uh, That's interesting. Like I want the reason I read the name so slow is I want to know what the cha in that name means because in Igbo search is cho. So I want to know what the that's why I was reading it so slow. I was like, am I mispronouncing this or what? But in Igbo search is cho, right? I'd be interested to know if there's a connection. From my own research, I've seen there's a connection between Igbo people and a lot of groups in Kenya, mainly Kenya, Uganda, kind of Central African Republic area. There's a connection there, and I'd be interested in exploring it more. Derek, why some people seem not to understand Elus? I get all of them clearly. Darius, that's because you're an Igbo man. That's it's as simple as that. um, uh, yeah, if somebody doesn't understand Ilu, they'll just say the person's not an Obu on Igbo, that kind of thing. Question that might tie back to video games: is there a legend or a story that you would like to see as an animation music? Oh man, yeah, there's a whole bunch. Everyone possible. But there's one particular one called Ojadili. And Ojadili sounds like it would make a perfect movie. And the story of Ojadili is that Ojadili is this wrestler. Ojadili defeats everybody, like every opponent on Earth. So then he goes, since nobody on Earth can beat me, I'm going to search for a worthy adversary in the land of spirits, right? If I cannot be beaten in Alam Mado, I'm going to go fight in Alam Mo. And so he enters the world of spirits. People tell him that nobody goes to Alam Mo and comes back, right? Like, don't try this. He goes, I'm going to do it anyway. There is a short version of the story, and there's an extended version of the story. And the story is usually told over many days. So it's like episodic, episode after episode after episode. And um Ojadili even has his partner. He plays the flute. He's like a comic relief kind of guy. He plays the flute, but he ends up being one of the reasons Ojadili is able to escape Alamwo in the end. But it's a phenomenal story. I would love to see that put into animation. And then a lot of like the actual history, like the ones in actual history. I have a patron, and I hope he doesn't mind me. I'm not gonna say names, but I hope he doesn't mind me. I don't share anything like somebody tells me to pitch. I try not to share it out. So, I'll say it is a patron that told me. I won't say who, and I won't give details. But he told this story that like it's like man, it's powerful. But his grandfather had his like let's say fiance or girlfriend kidnapped during the time of the slave trade, and she was kidnapped to be sold. And he was able to track down where she was at. And if I'm remembering the story correctly, he ends up fighting and killing the people that tried to enslave her. He frees her and brings her back. And there's like a lot of these stories at home. There's a lot of these stories at home and things like that. So like there's the mythology ones, and then there's like the ones that like actually happened. They're both unbelievably fascinating. There's this whole thing they say that like, oh, they don't talk about African this in the media, or they don't talk about African that. And I think that's a huge advantage, right? I think that's an incredible advantage. In my village alone, I got about 200 movies I can write, you know? And if Steven Spielberg didn't write it before me, why am I mad? Why would I be mad about that? They didn't take my story and tell it for me. They don't report Africa in the news. Good, 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 good. Don't do it. Don't do it. All the places they're reporting on the news, they eventually set on fire. So I'm cool with that. They report the Middle East all the time. I'm not trying to trade places, right? And I respect. I respect. No, no disrespect to them. Let me say. Wow, that's comic worthy. Yeah. The money is in owning the intellectual property. Sure. I mean, folktale, I think, is public domain. Yeah. Folktale is public domain. That's why I like Disney. Let me not, anyways, let me stop. I don't know who sponsors YouTube. So I would love to see a story of Ojadili, legendary Igbo, be made into a video game. Yeah, that'd be dope. There will peeps. Ben Reel's in the house. Ben Reel, the peacekeeper, and they will one. Musheria. Musheria is beautiful. Musheria, dope, dope, dope. All right. Would this also apply to disabled people as far as like the home building and all that stuff? Yeah, 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 definitely. In fact, like definitely, yeah. That would be a perfect example of like Obanya, like somebody who the community would build for because they don't build for themselves, right? You can't, and then at home too, you can't. There's there's a is like a collective shame, right? And there's a collective shame if one of your relatives is in a very bad position. So it's not just like, oh, it's my cultural duty. It feels like you're in that bad. It actually feels like you're doing bad, right? That's what it feels like. Even till this day, like I myself, it feels like you're in that position, right? There's an elu, perfect. There's an elu that says, um, when a man dances poorly in public, it's his family members that'll feel the shame, or it says literally says it's his family members that'll itch. Right, so you got a relative and they start embarrassing themselves out in public. It's gonna hurt you more than it's hurting them, right? And so you don't. It's a huge shame on the family to allow something bad to happen to a relative and then you just leave them, that kind of thing. Oh, we have this uncle, he's an armed robber. Right? You can't just you'd be so invested in that. And that was one of the like culturally, I remember we had like a culture shock moment where my two younger brothers, both of them are on YouTube, right? So one of them is Screwface John, the other one's Queso the Big Dipper, but they're gonna hate me telling this story. But both of my younger brothers, I remember one of them, oh, I won't say who, but one of them failed PE, right? And the other one was so angry that the other one failed, that he was like yelling at him worse than they're closer in age, so they dealt with each other more. But he was yelling at him like he was his parents, right? It was normal, right? Even myself, like when they would do something, I'd get on them. When I'd do something, my sister would get on me, right? So the fact that he failed PE was bothering him, right? And I remember I was trying to tell this story to one of my friends, and it's like, and he couldn't understand why he was so invested in it. And it's like it just looks bad. He's got your last name. That shit's crazy. So yeah, it can't disability, homeless, anything like that. Like you have those networks, and then you have your town network, right? Where If all those other things failed, your town network can then help you and then go and yell at your family members for letting you look bad. Like recently, I had an uncle pass away, right? And I actually think this was part of what was making me feel the way I was feeling because it happened roughly at the same time. But I had an uncle pass away, and he was a big influence on me and my brothers and my sister and like my whole family, things like that. And right now, it seems that everybody's competing to pay for his funeral and competing to take care of his family. It's not just a matter of, oh, I got to do the, it's like, they opened like a group. I remember a group of them open a group of my family members opened a group where they were raising money. They didn't invite everybody, and everybody else got pissed, right? So it's the other way. It's like a race to help the person. It's not like oh man, I gotta feel like oh man, this person ain't got no legs. Now I gotta build him a house. Damn it, it's not like it's the other way around. It's like oh shit, we gotta make sure he looks good, he's in a good place, that kind of thing. So it's just a different way of seeing things. There's a story in the library if you're a patron, patreon.com/the medicine show, and you want to read the story, send me a message. I'll send you the link. But the story was a little kid. It was like a white guy, and he was in Igbo land, and a little kid was carrying um his little sister on the back. And the white guy asked, "How are you able to carry that much weight on your back? You're so small." And the kid responded, "She's not heavy. She's my sister." Right? And that blew that blew the white guy's mind. He was like, "Oh, damn, that's very profound." And so he was talking about how Africans, specifically Igbo people, see family and how it's different from his culture, that kind of thing. So his answer was, "She's not heavy, she's my sister," right? That kind of, it's just that's how it is. I'm sure it'll change, right? Any nonsense America is doing, the whole world will start doing in like 10 years. So it'll definitely change, and I'll just deal with the change. But like in theory, this is what's going on. At this point, I'm more convinced that it's better to change America than anywhere else in the world because everywhere else will just start doing whatever BS we're doing here. So, we'll probably be on nursing homes soon and all that shit. I'm not trying to be too sentimental about anything. Igbo manga. Hey, start it. If you feel like it's a good idea, start it. Go ahead and do it. I remember what they tried to do with Loki. Yeah, that was a tragedy. Yeah. Wow, that's comic worthy. Okay, good. Another weird question is, are there mythical creatures? You know, yes, yeah. But there's this channel on YouTube that does like myth and mythology very well. I can't remember the name right now, and I'll probably shout them out or like cite them later down the line. So just subscribe. I'll say it if I remember it. It's probably called Myth and Mythology. But they were telling the story of like different mythologies and like or mythical creatures in Africa. And all the comments were, well, these sound real. Like these sound like things that probably existed. They're not too out there, right? But that being said, yes, there's a lot of mythical creatures in Igbo culture. Um, but in a lot of African culture, the mythical creatures sound like this thing probably existed at one point, like a giant hyena, things like that. But a couple in Igbo culture that are very, very mythical sounding. Trying to think of some. Okay, this is the part where I get demonetized, but there's this there's like a there's a gorilla. There's this creature that's a gorilla with a spiked penis, with spikes on its penis. And it chases girls. And so you have to be careful of that guy. A lot of the masquerades are depicting different mythical creatures, but they're like real. Like the Ekeleke is one we do in our community, which I actually think was introduced by Aro people, right? But we do it in my community. It's called Ekeleke. And if you look at it, it's like a stilt walker, but it's like a bird. And there's a mythology that goes behind it and all these different things. There is Akko Gili. So these are unfulfilled spirits, right? Unfulfilled spirits that roam the community and that type of thing. There's Ekwensi, which are spirits that are kind of mischievous, right? So they're like a whole species. So there's a whole like anything you could imagine. There's one that looks like that, different looks, that kind of thing. There's of course Obanje. right? There's like mermaids are huge. I don't want to say mami wata. I don't like the term, but mami wata, mermaids are a big deal in Igbo culture, or mythology. There are, I can't remember the name of it, but they're basically willow wisps. But so they're trees that come alive, right? Bushes that move around and they're sentient trees that come alive, that kind of thing. There's a story of, I think it's either Ojadili or Ikenga is the name. And the story was that people from Benin were trying to invade a community, and the Benin people were fighting with like animated trees. So they had turned these trees to life, and the trees were coming to fight. And this particular warrior was able to defeat the animated trees. I'm trying to think of some other mythical. I think I need to make a video. I think I need to make a video on mythical creatures in Igbo culture, or creatures in Igbo mythology. I'm not thinking of any off the top of my head, other than like the obvious ones that I've said. See if I can think of a few more. Uh, and then there's Umuoshi, which I don't know if they're. This is goes back to what I was saying about the South Africa one. So it's hard to know whether they're mythological or not, but they are dwarfs, right? They are shorter people. They're like little people, and they are the ones who taught our ancestors a lot of the things that we now call Odinani or Igbo spirituality, right? We learned a lot of these things from them. They were the first ones tapped into the knowledge of the earth, and they shared this knowledge of the earth with us. Now, the reason I say that it's hard to call it mythology is because one, we already know that Africa has pygmies, or people, pygmy cultures. And then two, from there's every culture, every culture in Black Africa, maybe even the other side, but I don't really research that. But every culture in Black Africa will also say, yeah, we learned this from these guys, these shorter dwarf people, right? And they're actually related to. I'm going to talk about them in my next video, which is about Arobinago. They're actually related to the concept of Arobinago, right? And the Igbo people call them Umuoshi, right? And in like for example, there's a culture in Ivory Coast that when you are getting initiated to become a Dibia, you are isolated in a room, and then a spirit enters you, and that spirit causes you to run into the forest, which is similar to what happens in Igbo initiations too. The spirit causes you to run into the forest, and when you run into the forest, you'll see what they say is dwarfs with dreadlocks. Dwarfs with dreadlocks. The dreadlocks also relate to Arobinago, which I will be talking about in the next video. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, right? So dwarfs with dreadlocks, you go in there, and those dwarfs with dreadlocks are the ones that are going to teach you what all of the different plants and roots are able to do and heal, right? And what type of healer or what type of dibia, I'm using dibia as an Igbo term, but they have their own, what type of healer you are, right? And so, yeah. So are they mythical? I don't know. Yeah. There's no reason to think they're mythical because they're still around. The Baka and all these different people are around. Igbo people are said to be mixed with a group called Ndimbu and Ndiegede. And some people will tell you that Ndimbu were dwarfs, right? Ndimbu were dwarfs, and Ndiegede were not. And they combine together, and it forms who we are today. But I don't know. It's hard to say that that's mythical. I know that there was two groups, Ndimbu and Ndiegede, and those are our ancestors. But yeah, it's hard to say that the dwarfs are mythical, because there's evidence of them existing, and they still exist, right? That kind of thing. And then we know about, there's this famous story about one of the Egyptian pharaohs sending a letter for them to go into Central Africa and find dwarfs that can do something particular, right? That kind of thing. Look into the history of people claiming they learned things from black dwarfs, by the way. Look into the history of people saying They learned things from black dwarfs. I'm talking about in Asia, in Europe, though they've probably buried that some bitch. They probably buried all that shit deep in the ground. Look in Europe, look in Asia, that kind of thing. I don't research European like stuff. I'm a fan of European history, but I'm not a researcher of it. But I believe Thor was a dwarf, right? Thor, the Thor, the guy that Two Thursday is dedicated to, is a dwarf, right? That kind of thing. And things like, but I mean, he's depicted as like goddamn Chris Hemsworth now, right? He's a handsome Marvel character now, but prior he was a dwarf, right? But there's always this connection between dwarfs smithing, ironsmithing, and what else? Just like giving the other people a type of knowledge somehow, some way. So it's a very interesting thing. I think the Europeans have stories of them like living underground and things like that. In Asia, this thing happens, and then of course in Africa, like we say it loud and proud. It's not buried. We know this. We say this is a fact. So if they're mythical, I don't know. I don't think they are. It's not as buried as you think. I wasn't even looking and I found stuff just on Wikipedia. Okay, good. Negritos in the Philippines. My DNA results usually have a bit of pygmy in there too. Cool. But you know if pygmy people got caught up, do you know? Um, uh, in a way, I wouldn't doubt it. And then I wouldn't doubt it, but I wouldn't think they were sought after because of their stature. Because I think they would always look for like height and those types of things. They look for height and so forth. So, but I wouldn't doubt it at all. One of the first places where the transatlantic slave trade really takes off is in the Congo Kingdom, and the what we now call Congo has a lot of pygmy populations, right? But so Congo Kingdom is one of the first places where this thing takes off, and a lot of them, there's a lot there. So I wouldn't doubt it at all. Like I wouldn't even come close to doubting it. I just don't know if they were like sought after, and logic would tell me they may not have been sought after because of their stature, but I don't know. Do they live underground in another dimension? I don't know. It's just what people say. Has anyone seen the dwarves as of late? Yeah, there's like Baka people, things like that. Nollywood movies. If you pay attention to them ignorant ass Nollywood movies, when they go to the evil Dibia, he always has a dwarf assistant. There's always a dwarf who's his assistant, right? That kind of thing. So it's not like in Africa. It's like it's just known. It's a known thing. It's not like a did it happen, right? It's just what it is, right? And so forth. So yeah, it's not that hidden. They're still around. They're the population, like they're still around, that kind of thing. Uh, there's similar stories of little people on this continent. Yeah, I don't think this stuff is mythological either. I don't have a better word to ask. I completely understand. Sometimes I have to say words that makes sense to the person that's hearing it, but kind of makes me wince a little because it's not what I mean, that kind of thing. And it's normal. Meladoma Some mentioned short people that have spiritual powers and knowledge that can be accessed through portals. Yes, umushi, umushi. Everywhere in Africa, they say the exact same thing. So I would be out of my mind and unbelievably arrogant to say, oh no, they're just making it up, right? Contemple. Dope. Okay, is that contemple? What language is that? Creative force. That may be a possibility in the future. Okay, no, my bad. I'm tripping. Video about mythical creatures. Yeah, yeah. I'll definitely make a video. I'm gonna put that in the rec. So what I do is when you guys recommend things, usually what I'll do is I'll check, or not usually, every time what I'll do is I'll check like comments, the comment section, and I'll see what you guys are requesting. Then I'll have the patrons vote. So last time you guys had a whole bunch of things you were after the Akaraka video. You guys were requesting a lot of things, and Aro Binago ended up winning the vote. Right? Arobinago ends up winning the votes, and then after Arobinago, Nsi is a lot of Nsi is what we're now calling Juju, right? So, but Arobinago ties to Nsi ties to Arobinago and that kind of thing. So, those are my next two videos: is Arobinago and then Nsi, and that's what the patrons voted on. So, if you want to see anything, just find a random video and leave a comment. You understand? Even under this one, right? Leave a comment. Or I don't know if like the chat counts as comments. I don't think it does. But if I can check, yeah, just leave it as a comment. If you leave it as a comment, the patrons will vote for it. Or if you're a patron, just send me a message. Hey, let, I want to see a video on this, and then whatever you say, I'll put it on the vote. Okay. So Pygmy DNA came up with my results, so it sounds accurate. I do wonder. No, I'm not doubting that Pygmy people weren't brought. I don't even know if that's the right term, but weren't brought over during the transatlantic human trafficking fucking fiasco. But I also wonder if a lot of the things you're like mixed with the mixture or the happened before the slave trade, right? To my knowledge, I think DNA goes back 14 generations, but I don't like speaking on things I'm not an expert on, and I'm not an expert on DNA. So I'll give him a, it's not as buried as you think. Thor is depicted as red haired and bearded. Yes, and a dwarf. I think garden gnomes, I think that's what they're supposed to be. I'm not sure. I'm not a European. You need to go to uh, uh, the Medicine Shell White Division, like whoever's doing the white man version of Medicine Shell, and ask him. So it's not my expert. Contemble in Daraga language in Burkina Faso. Dope. Okay, yeah, yeah, dope, dope, dope. Congo Coast. But Congo is not the only place where pygmy populations live. There throughout Africa, especially tropical parts of Africa. You'll see those populations, right? Contemble is nothing more than a mixture of, okay, nothing more but a mixture of West African. Okay, yeah. Dope, dope, dope. All right, so it looks like the questions are running out. Y'all give me one more question or give me a few more questions. I'll keep going. If you guys are out of questions, I'm hopping. There's stories of people on continents. Yeah. Okay, cool. I do remember reading Bantu people would carry off pygmy wives. Yeah, that sounds grim. That sounds grim, but yeah, that sounds accurate too. Yeah, that sounds accurate. Thinking about dwarves during the slave trade has my brain buzzing because I too have heard. Okay, thinking of dwarves during the slave trade has my brain buzzing because I too have heard they're basically interdimensional. That might make them a bit hard to capture. I'll do them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Igbo presence in Benin City? Question. Oh man, if I say too much, Benin people will be on my ass. But I'll eventually say too much, so I'm ready for them. And they are. So, but yeah, there's a heavy Igbo presence in ancient Benin City. Um, Ancient Benin City was a metropolis, so it had people from everywhere. And the same way I would say that, like, remember I was saying earlier that, like, when my community was being set up, one of my ancestors said, okay, Umu Diacha people, these people are good at business, bring them in. Umu Daragon, these people are good at being devious, bring them in, that kind of thing. Benin was set up the same way. So you find all just people from all over the region and even far beyond different parts of West Africa that lived in Benin City. And this is from like a 15th or 14th century, I think Portuguese or Dutch person that went there. I read his accounts, and he said that when you get to the gates of Benin City, they stop you, and then they go find somebody who speaks your language. Then once they find the person, hey Namdi, how you doing? Once they find the person that speaks your language, they then have that person be your guide through the city. But they don't let you walk around the city without being able to interpret what's going on, right? And so that would tell you the level of diversity because they found somebody who speaks Portuguese in there, right? That kind of thing, or Dutch or whatever fucking language he spoke. um, uh, but anyways, yeah, the Igbo presence. There's a lot of evidence to point to the fact that there's a heavy Igbo presence in Benin City. There's been a heavy Igbo presence throughout what we now call Nigeria and the different places for a long time, primarily because a lot of the ironsmithing that was done back in the day was done by Igbo people. A lot of the long distance trading that was done by Igbo people. A lot of medicine making was done by Igbo people. A lot of what's the other one? Medicine making business. Surgery was done by Igbo people, and so a lot of them lived there. There's this very interesting story and this was an account from the Benin people themselves. And they said that there was a time where the Oba of Benin was getting tired of his chiefs, right? So a chief is like a man who like rises in prominence, and then the Oba recognizes him, gives the man a title, and then you're like tied in with the Oba, that kind of thing, right? And so his chiefs were building bigger houses than the palace that the Oba had, right? And so the Oba made a decree that everybody has to reduce the level of their house. It can't be taller than the Oba's. And so there was one particular man that refused, right? He refused. And so the Oba had his house sacked. They had to burn his house. And the exact story is that he went 3 days to the east, right? He ran 3 days to the east. He came back with an army and he sacked about a fourth of the city with his army before he was stopped, right? So we know that 3 days to the east is either Anyama, Igbo land, or kind of the Onitsha area, though I don't think Onitsha was founded at this time, probably Obosi. So Obosi or Anyama, one of them. And if you can go somewhere and come back with an army, you're probably from there, right? Especially if you run there, right? They said that, what's this Ilu? There's an Ilu that says that when things go wrong, everybody remembers where they're from, right? So something along those lines. So he goes to where he's from. He comes back with this army. There's a lot of stories of people with names like Chema and things like that in Benin being like kicked out, being kicked out for one reason or another, and then finding communities elsewhere. So after this man had sacked a part of the city, they stopped him. They defeated him. He retreats, and then what they said is he found his own kingdom at the bank of the river Niger. Right, so the guy goes there, that kind of thing, so on and so forth. Now, people from that area will constantly tell you, "We come from Benin, we come from Benin, we come from Benin." It's a regular thing to hear. But come from Benin doesn't mean you're Benin. It just means like I came from New York. It doesn't mean I'm an Iroquois Indian, right? That kind of thing. So yeah, Benin was a metropolis. Everybody was there. A lot of Igbo people were there. There's a lot of like Igbo people depicted in their art. A lot of Yoruba cities, there's Igbo people depicted in their art, that kind of thing. They'll have like marks on their head. Some of them will have the marks on their head, that kind of thing. So yeah, they were there. And then also, there was a law or like a rule in Benin that I believe I could be saying it wrong, but Benin people can't cross rivers or like they can't do trade on rivers. It's like against their culture, right? Back then, not now. And so they would contract that type of thing to different people. Some of the people they would contract it to were Abal, which sometimes they say they're Igbo, sometimes they don't. Abal, Ijaw people, who's the other one? Urobo people and things like that. So it's a metropolis. It's always been multi-ethnic. Even a lot of Igbo communities, the level of multi-ethnicity gets underestimated or understated. A lot of communities will have a place called Amausa, and this isn't a place that came during colonialism. It's been here since whatever. And it's literally Hausa land, land for Hausa people. And so a lot of communities had like Hausa settlements there already. There are islands, for those of you who know like the Igbo land geography, those islands between like Onitsha and Asaba, like on the river Niger, they used to have temporary markets there. Like they'd happen one time, once a year when the river was low. And people from all the way upriver would come and trade there and things like that. And the lingua franca, the language they spoke on those islands while they were trading was Hausa, because so many of them, or the majority of the people coming there to trade were Hausa people. So the intermixing and interconnecting of that region gets underspoken I think there's this weird kind of thinking that people started moving around once the Europeans arrived, and that's just not accurate. I had a patron just figure out that she's a descendant of Igala people, but the whole time she had thought she was from uh, well, she is from, but that she was an Igbo person from Onitsha. But Onitsha is a metropolis, and people from different places gathered there to make that thing happen, right? So yeah, there was Igbo people in Benin. And I mean, it goes deeper. It goes deeper than that, and that's where, when I have time for their gra gra, I'll then share. But yeah, I read about Ishan Bini refugee people heavily. Well, Ishan, I had an Ishan friend tell me that Ishan is very closely related to Igbo. So yeah. I had yeah, that they're closely related to Igbo and that kind of thing. So, but I haven't looked too far into that. Thank you. Not surprised Bantus overran all the indigenous groups. Maybe. I wonder how much of my. So the reason I say maybe about that Bantu thing is because a lot of that is just made up by white South Africans to justify what they're doing. Oh, you're not from here either. You're not from here either. So I always kind of like, well, I'll look into it because I know that the motivations were kind of sketchy and they bring it up a lot, right? So that kind of thing. And some people aren't reliable sources of information. Thank you for your info laden on them. Thank you. Yeah. That's what I do. I do wonder how much of my mixed ancestry happened before slavery. Yeah. Oops. Though we're inevitably more, of course, more mixed now. Profession to be a. Was it a profession to be a translator then, or just something done by everyone? Probably a profession. It's probably a profession. Or I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say because maybe it was just like a social duty. A lot of things, like I said, there's a lot of things aren't. There was, of course, trade and economy and business and whatever you want to call it, but there was a lot of things that weren't monetized, that aren't monetized in like traditional African culture, you know. And so sometimes it's just like if there's like a big ass log that lands on a road, it's just I'm just gonna understand that as an able-bodied man, it's my job to move this thing out of the way. So I'm gonna go get all the other able-bodied men and we're gonna move this thing out of the way. And it's not really a job. So maybe the translator thing is like that. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. I don't think everything needs to be monetized all the damn time. Um, that kind of thing. So thank you, but surprise. Okay, yeah, we read that. Sean. Would it be professional? Okay, I read that. Bantu, Pygmy Wise, Central Africa. Yeah, I believe it. Wow. Are there any stories about Igbo explorers? I have to dig. I don't know any, but I know that Igbo people are notorious for traveling. Like notorious to a fault. Nigerians always say, and my Nigerian and the other groups, that if you go somewhere and you don't see an Igbo person, go back home, right? If you go somewhere, I have had cousins go to Libya while they were blowing the place, like while they were blowing it up. I've had cousins go to Afghanistan, not exaggerating. Funny enough, the same cousin that passed away, but not because he was in Afghanistan. Um, or uncle, I put it that way. I've had cousins go all over. Like I have my own personal families all over the world. I can go to any continent and there's somebody that I'm directly related to there. So it's notorious. It's not a new thing, or it's something that is just Igbo people are known for. But it's also not a new thing, right? It didn't just begin today. It's happens a lot. So I would like to look into to see if there's any specific stories of like explorers and things like that. I think that'd be dope. But I don't personally know any. I don't know any. I just know about like settlers, like this person settled here and started this community and that kind of thing. But I don't know specific expo. But that would be really interesting, and I don't doubt it. At Iboukwu, there's an archaeological find at Iboukwu, and it's like a whole lot of like metal, like very nice looking metalwork and things like that. And allegedly, they said that the when they did like they studied the materials, things like that, they said the glass there, the glass that was used in one of the beads, like for the glass beads, was from a furnace in Egypt. They were able to trace that the furnace was in Egypt, that kind of thing. So this culture of traveling far and wide is not new at all. A lot of like I always talk about like the Igbo society, things like that. A lot of their, in fact, the whole Igbo thing, right, is from Central Africa. It comes from like the Congo region, right? And it's related to the dwarf thing that we were talking about earlier, or the pygmy thing we were talking about earlier. So yeah, Africa has always been very interconnected. And again, in the library, there's a picture of a wealthy merchant woman in I think Onitsha. And she's sitting there. She has the ivory on her legs, things like that. And then right next to her is a trader from Mali, And so yeah, the exploring is not new. There are yeah, the exploring is not new. The exploring is not new. So um, that Green Sahara. Oh yeah, I'd love to know more about it. I'd love to know more about it. Talk about family going to Libya while it's being blown up. Meanwhile, you show up here. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that's just normal. That is a normal cultural behavior to go to somewhere that doesn't make any damn sense. That doesn't make any damn sense. And then just kind of, all right, so what's going on over here? Let's see what these people are talking about. My cousin that was in Libya, we, I think, if I'm remembering the story right, because there's like two of them that went to crazy places. We had warned him, right, that hey, that place doesn't make sense. He says, yeah, but you can go other places after. I'm like, okay, sure. And yeah, year one pass, year two pass, he's still there. Like, hey, bro, are you sure? Or I thought you were trying to go to this place. I'm like, nah, this place is cool. I'm gonna stay here a little bit, that kind of thing. And he started blowing the thing up. And then like they were like looking for like black people and shit and all this stuff. And so he starts calling us, hey man, I gotta get out of here. You gotta send me some money. And yeah, so he got out of there after all like not even during the crazy that whole I don't even know what to call it. That fucking after that whole Libya thing happened, he was still there, and then he left like a little bit after. I had a cousin that was about like this close to going to the Ukraine 2 years ago. And he's like that. Oh no, he has an uncle there. He's gonna set him up, that kind of thing. He himself is gonna go to school there. It's easy to go to school there if you're an African student. And then from there, make it work. And I'm like, place is kind of because I think like before, not I think I know before this current war, they were having some issue there, like some kind of uprising thing, or not uprising, like they're having one of them like one of them CIA joints over there. And so I told him like, hey, dude, Google the place in the news before you go there. I'm tired of you guys going to these crazy places. And he looked it up, and again, yeah, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And then like the war breaks out, like the Russia invasion, whatever. I think you can't talk about like the Ukraine thing on YouTube, so my bad. But the thing breaks out, and they sent a warning to like all the creators to just stay off the topic or be careful how you talk about it, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, so the war breaks out, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't want to go there anymore. But yeah, it's really normal for Igbo people to go wherever the hell and make it work, and blend in pretty well and be a part of the society there and so forth. It's a great skill. That's why, like, for example, like I don't know if it's like a cultural thing or like a personality thing, but like even like when people tell me, like I go back to like my hometown, like, oh man, you moved. I can't believe you moved. And I'm like, go. It's not something I got to think about. Just go. What the fuck? But yeah, yeah, yeah. What's the oldest pyramids in? Was the oldest pyramids in the world found in Igbo land? I don't think so. I don't think so. There are many communities built. Funny enough, my next video on Arobinago, I'm going to be talking about these pyramids. I think we're all in alignment. I'm going to be talking about the Igbo pyramids, the pyramids that were built in Igbo land, and what the pyramid does spiritually, what that shape does spiritually, right? Believe it or not, and I know you're probably thinking Egypt, but it's actually one of the reasons these Europeans came and said that we were Jews or Hebrews, right? There's a specific thing that our ancestors understand about that pyramid shape or the cone shape or the mound shape. And when you see one erected, that is what it's for, right? That is the concept. That's what it's for, right? And I'll say this, I'll give a clue, right? There's a thing about like these great civilizations built these pyramids. Our ancestors have a perspective that the pyramid built the great civilization, right? And that is what I'm going to be talking about in the next video on Arobinago. Arobinago. So a lot of Igbo communities had these pyramids. Um, Akwali Omomo, and they were for communicating with and receiving from the earth, and then also giving to the earth. It's like a gateway. It's like they were gateways for back and forth shrines to the earth, right? And or Arishi to the earth. But when the Europeans arrived, they took particular focus in demolishing them. They wanted to make sure they were demolished and gone and that kind of thing. And then after they left the church people that they left that little thing in did a lot of the rest of the work. So some of the pyramids are still around, but they're in bad shape. The Igbo pyramids were built with soil. It wasn't like a brick and things like that. So they required yearly maintenance. They required yearly maintenance. And they're built in sets of twos. And I'm trying to think of how tall, maybe not that tall, like maybe like not like Egypt's tall, but like they varied anyway. But I don't know. There's the ones I've seen two sets. So I've seen one that they accidentally caught on camera in like a colonial thing, and that's an accident because it wasn't a focus, and it was about if somebody said it was 12, 15 feet, I wouldn't be surprised. And then the other ones that are about the size of a person and a half, so about the same, anyways. So yeah, but I don't know if they're the oldest pyramids, and I doubt it, or I doubt the ones that I'm aware of are the oldest ones. If the culture of pyramid building, I don't know where it started, that kind of thing. I don't think there's a set origin place, especially if you understand what they mean, right? And then there's probably not a set origin place, but I don't know which one's the oldest. Mastabas. CIA. Yeah, they're gonna demonetize me. Yeah, they told us not to talk about you, the southern lands. I'll call it that. Gotta get in on the ground floor when it comes to new markets. So them reminds me of my brother. He's a traveling nurse. Happens to be in Seattle when the pandemic started at SMH. Yeah, got a lot of those in my family. I lived in Israel for 2 years during the Intifada. Funny thing was an Igbo delegation came to visit when I was there before I knew my ancestry, of course. They love them some Israel. I, I'll count this as another reason. I mean, because I haven't. Okay, it doesn't say it's just money. Oh, those pyramids. Okay, cool. All right, so, hey, Red Spirit Mask. Hey, man, how you doing? How you been? All right. So was the set of two masculine and feminine? Good question. They're both feminine. They're both feminine. Yeah, neither is masculine. They're both feminine. So there's an ilu that says that Anna gives with two hands. So when Anna gives, she gives in twos. You understand? When the earth gives, she gives in twos. And so it's related to the pyramid thing. Mud brick pyramids usually come first. To clarify, I was asking about the pyramids. Yeah, I understood the question. Red Spirit Mask, thank you very much for that question, man. No, good seeing you too. I appreciate you being here. Where are we at? Reminds me, Red Spirit Mask was one of the collaborators on a project we did a while back. I can't remember the name of the project. I don't even know why I started talking about it. I don't remember the name of it, but like we all had to make a video just sharing different things about sub-Saharan Africa, and mine was my High Life Explained video. So Red Spirit Mask, if you have that playlist link, I would appreciate if you posted it. Otherwise, I hate to put you to task or whatever, so just let it be. But I was one of the collaborators. Hey, All Mistress. Hey, how are you? I am good, All Mistress. Have we spoken before? They will one day. Yo, guys, I think the questions are running out. I'm gonna hop. Okay, wait. Is this related to Twins, it is absolutely related to twins. Yeah, it is absolutely related to twins. And a lot of the unfortunate things that happened to twins in Igbo culture. So yes, it is related. You know. Well, in a lot of yeah, it's let me just say it's related. I'll make a video on the twin thing eventually or whatever you guys requested. Go to live chat. You don't need questions. Oh, I don't know. I just was happy. No, I don't know you at all. I'm just happy you came in. I'm just happy to see you. But no, I don't know you. Sometimes like I talk to the people on my Patreon a lot, but then like their YouTube name will be different. So like if they say something like, "Hey, how's it going?" or "Hey, I'm glad I'm here," my first instinct is, "Okay, maybe this is somebody I've already talked to before." So no, but I'm just happy you're here. All right. Hope you guys don't mind this new setup where I'm just using my hand to hold the thing, but it happens. So I'm going through my Okay, cool, Riz. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, check out the it's different videos on different things, like historical things about sub-Saharan Africa. There's a video on like naval culture. He'll post the link for the playlist. There's a really good one on like naval culture, like different boats and different cultures, things like that. I think Red Spirit did a video on masks. I'm trying to remember the specific mask. And then I did my video on high life music, the history of high life music, that kind of thing. So, hey, Chief, the High Chief, Chinye, Naja, Njokweri, always an honor seeing you. I was gonna say a pleasure, but always an honor in seeing you there. There, well, Chief Naja Chinya Njokweri is the person to ask any DNA questions. She is our foremost community expert on DNA and DNA testing. I wouldn't be. I'm not the person for that. I don't know too much about it. Out. So this message is held. Wait, I'm seeing that it's holding people's messages for review for some reason. So don't say anything about any current affairs or race, and they won't hide your messages. So people's messages are being hid. I wish I can see what they're saying. People's messages. Let me see. I guess one hidden. Let me see if there's another one. Okay, just one. Okay, yeah, be careful what you say. This is they got, like their rules and stuff like that. So you have mods? I have one. I think Ikenga Nation's I made Ikenga Nation a mod a while back, but it's whatever. All right, guys. I think the questions have run out. We've got to come up with code words. Yeah, maybe we can say them in Igbo, right? I don't know how to say. How would I say CEA? The CEI, yeah. One of them CEI episodes. But yeah, all right, guys. Let's yeah. YouTube's not playing, man. YouTube's not playing. Yeah, right? It means something else. We can't use that term. We got to think of a different one. We might, yeah, it's gonna confuse people. Yeah, is fine. Both Medicine Shell and my channel are the videos at the end of the playlist. Okay, cool. So, all right, you guys, I think that is everything. Two things I wanted to announce. If you've been here before, you know I'm going to announce these things. But I have an Igbo language school. I have an Igbo language school at www.gedu.me, right? So if you're like myself and you want to get better at speaking the Igbo language, we're about actually yeah we're enrolling students for the summer. So summer is going to begin the summer class is going to begin in August, so you still got some time. They're going to begin in August. The, we already have four people that have signed up, and I try to keep classes at around 12 people because it's manageable, that kind of thing. So our teachers are in Nigeria, they got their own lives too, and that kind of thing, so they can't be teaching like 200 people, that kind of thing. So I try to keep it manageable. But each class is about 12-ish. I let 15 slide one time, so 15 people. And so we already have four people that have signed up for summer. So if you're interested in learning the Igbo language this year, Uh, we have the most effective Igbo language learning program in the world. I'm super grateful for the teachers and the team that we've put together. And the reason it's so effective, other than having very good, very dedicated teachers, is because we teach the language as the language rather than like mimicking an English language program. So you're not just learning the language, you're learning a lot of what goes behind it and the thought behind it, that kind of thing, so that you're thinking and speaking like your ancestors rather than just kind of like saying words, right? And I think when you do that, it helps ingrain it a little bit better, especially with people in my own community. So, and by my community, I mean you guys. So, if you're interested in learning the Igbo language, with us, it is www.kedu.me. Let me see if I can type that. I can't type that. So, if somebody wants to be kind and type it for me, I'd appreciate it. KEDU.me. Sign up there. I'm actually going to ask the parents for permission, but I wanted to post some of the videos from the kids' classes because I'm very proud. I'm unbelievably proud of the progress the kids have been making. We have a Kedu Kids class. So if you have children or nieces and nephews, or maybe for some reason you're like 5 years old and you're watching my video right now, you can sign up or have your parents sign you up to have them in there at kedu.me. The next session, of course, is in August. And again, I'm super proud of where the kids are at. We have a kids class of one, two, three, four, of four kids. And, one of the things they do is like there's a WhatsApp group and like there's a challenge. And so they'll post the videos of them doing the challenge. And the videos are so damn cute that I want to post them somewhere. So I got to ask the parents first. If they're not cool with it, I'm not going to post it. If they are cool with it, I'll put it on Instagram or maybe on here, that kind of thing. So yeah, if you want to teach kids, if you want to learn, Kedu.me, most effective Igbo language learning program in the world by far. Um, and then, of course, if you want to support the channel, patreon.com/the medicine shell. We have entered the new moon of Onwa Agon. This is the moon of Agon. This is in different, oh, yeah, I'll talk about this. In different communities, this is a cleansing moon. So, what you're going to see, because everybody always wants, oh, in my town, we don't do that, or my town. Every town you talk to right now, there's a masquerade that started yesterday. I think this was yesterday it started. That started yesterday. And it's going to end at the end of the moon. Every single one, but each community is going to have a different masquerade. Now, what's going on? Traditionally, this was the moon that the masquerade, like the chief masquerade society of the community, takes over the community, right? So the masquerade society takes over the community for this moon. The remnants of that particular culture is that the masquerades come out. And then this is the moon where if you're not a part of the masquerade society, you have a curfew, right? So you got to be in your house or at least in your compound, in your family area by the time the curfew comes. And I'll talk about my community. It's the same everywhere, but I'll talk about my community. So in my community, the masquerade that comes out is Owu, right? Owu is a celebration of, well, it's a little bit more than a celebration, but let's call it a celebration. The celebration of the Owu spirit. Owu is Nemiri, right? So the general name is Nemiri. We call it Owu in my area. And the Owu tradition started because Nemiri gave a woman an offal and she didn't know what it was. So she took it to a dibia. Or no, first she took it to her husband. Her husband said, I don't know what it is. He took it to a dibia. Does anyone say I'm trying to see Snap on cats? I'll get to that. Give me a minute. The Debia says this is a child. Take care of it as a child. And because you've had a child, we're going to throw a celebration. That celebration was Owu. So the Owu is a celebration of Nemiri and the Ofo. And so that's what my community does in this moon. I know Oka is having Imoka, right? Which is a big festival. They have all the masquerades come out and that kind of thing. So what happens during Onwago is that there's two sets of masquerade. There's the masquerades that everybody can watch, right? Which is is the one that everybody can watch. And there's a masquerade that only initiates into the masquerade society or titled men or men in general. Different communities have their rules. Or men in general can watch, but women can't watch, children can't watch, unless the child is in the masquerade society, right? And so the one that everybody can watch is Owu. The one that only, some people can watch is Okorosha. Okorosha. Back in the day, Okorosha used to beat people up. The ones that are for men will typically they'll walk around with weapons or like canes and things like that. They're the masquerades that flog people, that type of thing. Traditionally, they were the police that took over the community of that time. The reason they take over is because the community is in the process of cleansing. It is purging out spirits that we don't want in the community. It is inviting the spirits we do want in the community. It is also one of the things that happens during this moon is that there's like trials. So people that have been committing like problems for the community, the masquerade will go to your community and call you out, and the masquerade will be the judge. You're now under masquerade law. You're not under the community law. It's the masquerade law. The masquerade will be your judge, right? And so they'll hear you out. Whatever the punishment is, you have to do. Okay, you've been stealing somebody's plantain, or you've been encroaching on somebody's farmland or that kind of thing. So there'll be an apt punishment, and then you have to make promises. I'm not going to do this anymore. That kind of thing. This is also the moon where the one of these traditions. I'm not sure which community does it. It's probably several, but what happens is that women will speak like all of the bad things that happened this year into a vase, an earthen vase, like a vase, vase, into like a little tombala, as Nigerians call it. They'll speak it into it, and they'll shatter it, and they'll sweep it out of their home, and then collectively sweep all the shards out of the community, right? So you are purging out all the things you don't want for the rest of the year. You are inviting the things you do want. You're renewing vows. You're renewing commitments, that kind of thing. But on a community level, it's a very entertaining time. So there, Snapple and Cats asked, do some people stay out and watch? Yeah, of course, right? Of course. My mom, all my mom's stories are this is the tradition, but I was doing this instead. So my mom, she has stories of sneaking to watch and things like that when she was little. What else? It's normal, if you can hide and get away with it, sure. It's not like a egregious offense, but if they catch you, they might flog you. Now, one of the things they'll do is if you have to pass and you hear like the masquerade people coming, you'll say an ofeke is passing, an ofeke is passing. An ofeke is like I guess it gets translated to an uninitiate, somebody who's unaware, right? Somebody who's not, and non-ordinary, let's call that, right? Or no, that's not even a good translation, just somebody who's unknowing, an ofeke. And so, though today gets used for anybody who doesn't know culture and that kind of thing. So the masquerade will actually stop and let you go run to wherever the hell you're running to, and then it'll continue. But if you're just casually walking by, you might get flogged. And the reason I'm laughing is because there was this video a few years back in Enugu. There are these masquerades that are just walking by and they're just whipping everybody. And there was this, oh, we need to stop this barbaric tradition. It's barbaric. Yeah, 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 that kind of thing. So, well, yeah, that kind of thing. So I love it. I think they should get whipped. but, but yeah, that's what goes on during Onwago. And the community leader or leaders will do some type of ceremony that means that they're ridding the community of abominations, wrongdoings, things like that. This is so on a personal level. This is a moon of cleansing and renewal and so forth. This is Onwa Agon, right? The moon of Agon, that kind of thing. If you're interested, I have a calendar. Like if you're a patron and you go to your Google Calendar, it should be already linked there. It's called Igwa Fall by the Medicine Show. And it tells you what market day we're in, and it tells you what moon we're under, and that kind of thing. And yeah, so that's on Wago. It's a lot of fun. Okay, I think I left and came back. I think I left and came back. So you guys let me know if you can hear me. But my dad initiated us into OU, so I can watch OU at night. My sister can watch OU at night. My brothers can watch OU, like the OU that's only for members, right? We can see that one. We're allowed to see that kind of thing because we were initiated as little kids. We did a ceremony known as Imam to know the spirit. If you do Imam, you're good. You can walk around. You're fine during this time. But we're not all fake. But if you haven't done Imam, it's your ass. You know. Yeah. I can hear you. Okay, cool, 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 cool. I can hear you. No problem. Just wear some thick padding under your shirts. Oh man, you're so you've never been whipped with okwe. Okwe is like a rubber, like the branch of a rubber tree. They call that pian pian or overall. They'll hit you in the back, but somehow they'll hit you in the chest too. Yeah, YouTube doesn't like links either. No, they don't. You know. Go. Go and get in. They say that language is what the means. Well, for men and we need in term in I had all see. Hold on. The Igbo for the men in black. Funny enough, Iweoji, men in black, like men wearing black is how you say police officer in Igbo. You know, Iweoji. So I'll say Iweoji. Uh, or Uweoji, sorry, Uweoji. Um, I need to change phones. Can I get the library? Yeah, Darius, just message me on Patreon. Message me on Patreon. I'll get you reset on the library. I'll get you the link on that. Or if you open your Dropbox, like if you just open your Dropbox now, it might already be there. Yeah. So now I'm just if you have Dropbox, getting armored up to watch a masquerade. They have this masquerade in my brother-in-law is from here. What am I doing? Why am I forgetting? Enuguku. Yeah, in Enuguku, they have this really cool masquerade that people don't like, but I love it, where the masquerades carry whips. Like not whips, but like this the pian pian I was talking about, like a switch, like a stick. And they just whip each other. They like competitively whip each other. So one masquerade will be carrying like five, and the other will carry five, and they'll just quack, 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 and try to break the stick on each other, that kind of thing. And Enugu people did something really cool that I really love. They actually built a stadium for these masquerades to have these competitions. If I don't want to say how I'm going to do this thing because I'm going to go to sleep after this, but if somebody can remind me, I'll post an example of it. But it's the stadium, and they have these masquerade competitions where the masquerades come in there and they have these battles. They battle each other, that kind of thing, and the winner wins something, that kind of thing. So like, I think it was really cool that they did that. They built a stadium for that particular tradition. Arena. They built an arena for it, and so forth. But yeah, yeah, that But the of course they're wearing padding, but like people say it still hurts. So no, pian piano is different. There's no padding for that. Like I said, they can whip you in the back, and for some reason it hits you in the forehead, and it hit your back too. So it's different. Hey, buddy, what's up? I'm almost done, Nandi. Okay, man, did I get armored up? Will you have another Insibidi class? Oh, I don't think it's a bad idea. I wouldn't be able to conduct it, so I can look into it and then I can try to make it happen. I'm actually expanding the classes we have. So I'm working on, I don't like to talk about things while I'm working on it. I like to just do it. But I'm working on getting a cooking class, right, together, right? So culinary, Igbo culinary arts, that type of thing, traditional culinary arts, cooking class together. And so that's actually my big focus right now. The challenge with the Insibidi one is I wouldn't know who could teach it. I can teach very basic kind of rudimentary logic, and this is what it means and this is how it works. But I would have to have somebody else who can teach it. So I can work on that. But the next one we're working on is cooking, and my big goal is to have a medicine, like a traditional medicine class, right? A traditional medicine class is my big goal. That's what I'm working towards, and that is difficult, but we're gonna make it work. Work. Cool. She says nice. Okay, hold on. What does ekwe? What does ekekwe mean? If I'm pronouncing it right, ekekwe, it means eke permits. Eke permits. Is that your last name? Eke permits. Ekekwe is eke permits. Like Eke wills. Eke wills it. Eke permits. Eke agrees. Eke made it happen. That kind of thing. That's Eke Ekwe. Looking forward to both Audemars. The medicine class is in the future. It's but I'm working on it. But the next one is the cooking. I'm focusing on cooking. Oh damn. No, a woman told me that in a dream I had. Oh wow. Wow. Okay. So the next Aniaya, I hope I'm saying your name right. Aniaya. I'm saying it like it's Igbo, so I don't Aniaya. The next video I'm gonna make is actually gonna talk a little bit about what could have possibly been, right? Because the video is on Aruro Binago. And Aruro Binago appears in dreams as a woman. And when Arobinago appears in dreams as a woman, Arobinago is the messenger for one of the roles, is a messenger for the earth. And if you understand the earth and its connection to the concept of Eke, then you know it's one and the same thing. Um, so that's a possibility. Arobinago is also known as Neago. She's the feminine end of Ago. Arobinago is the one that's when you enter the forest to learn to be a dibia, she's the one that shows you how to really make it happen and how to do the work. So being told eke ekwe in a dream is very profound. I wouldn't take it lightly. But what you were told is that eke, which is so we believe that God is both man and woman. It's a man and a woman. And that couple is God, right? The couple is God. The couple is Chi na Eke, also known as, and honestly more accurately known as Eke Nachi. But that's a whole different thing, right? But Eke is lack of better terms, God the mother. God the mother. And she permits. Eke Ekwe. That's amazing. I stayed in Houston over 15 years and all the neighbors were wondering where my cooking came from. I never told them West Africa until my medicine class would actually mean a lot because a lot of people I know can't access medical care. Dope. All right, cool. So I gotta figure the reason it takes so long is I gotta figure out how to do it legally in the United States, right? And then of course find somebody who can do it who's in Nigeria and is willing and has the time and is looking for work. So Andy, what's up, boy? Why do I make videos so much? It's my job, man. All right, my son is letting me know that it's time to go. Are you okay?
I got it right.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm coming. All right, guys. Uno gade. As always, let us go. Kachi fono. Okay, yes. Kachi
Okay,
fono.
okay. Um, um, um,
Just say it doesn't. I don't know what you're talking about. Zoom is a great platform for it. Yes, we use Zoom for our classes. I need che. Okay. All right, guys. I do gotta go.
can I
Catch me
try
at
something?
patreon.com. Namdi. All right.
I want to,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
try, try singing try singing them songs that they're like.
Try singing them. Okay. My son is advising me to start singing to you guys more. Okay. All right. Kachi fono. Uno gade. Uno geto. Gobla no tiriaka. O gade no wa. Tuako gade neke. No rie. Now for. Now for. We say. All right, guys. Take care.
We're gonna talk to Grandma in a little bit. We're gonna talk to Grandma in a little bit.
Grandma, you been?